Have you ever built a cool little Python program, entered some data, and then poof, the second you close it, everything is just gone? It's like your program has total amnesia. Well, today we are going to fix that. We're giving your Python programs a permanent memory by mastering file handling.
So why exactly does that happen? Well, when your program is running, it's using the computer's really fast but temporary memory. We call it RAM. It's fantastic for active work, but the moment that program closes, that memory gets wiped completely clean. To save anything for good, we need to get it out of that temporary space and write it to a file on a disk.
You know, a great way to think about this is to imagine RAM as a whiteboard. It's perfect for jotting down ideas and working through problems in real time. But when you're done for the day, you erase it. The disk, on the other hand, that's your filing cabinet. It's where you put the important documents you need to keep forever. So our job today is to teach our program how to take the work off the whiteboard and stick it securely in that filing cabinet.
Now, I know this might sound a little intimidating at first, but I promise you it all boils down to a super simple 3-step process. Seriously, once you get this pattern in your head, you can handle pretty much any file you throw at it.
Here they are. It's this simple. First, you open the file. That's like pulling a folder out of the cabinet. Second, you act on it. This just means you either read what's inside or you write something new. And third, and this is the one everybody forgets when they're starting out, you have to close the file. Closing it is what tells the computer, okay, I'm done, save all my changes. It's just like putting that folder back in the cabinet and making sure the drawer is shut. Let's look at this in some actual code. See how it maps perfectly? The first line is step 1. We open a file called data.txt in read mode. The second line? That's step 2. We act by reading the file's contents and just printing them out. And that final line is our absolutely crucial step 3. We close the file. See? Open, act, close. That's the rhythm. Okay, so you probably noticed that little R in the open function. That's really important. It's called a mode, and it's how you tell Python exactly what you plan to do with that file. You have to declare your intentions right from the start, and you know what? It actually helps you avoid a ton of common mistakes. So let's look at the big ones. R for read is pretty straightforward. The two you really need to get straight are W and A. Now, W for write is powerful, but you gotta be careful because it's a bit destructive. It erases whatever's in the file and gives you a totally blank slate. A for append, on the other hand, is much safer for adding new info. It just tacks your new data onto the very end of the file, keeping everything that was already there. And X is just a special mode for creating a file. It's a safety net that fails if the file already exists.
All right, so we've got the rules, and we know about the tools, the modes. Let's move on and see how we can actually start getting data in and out of our files.
So when you're reading, you've got a few options. You can use .read to just slurp the entire file into one big string. That's great for smaller files. But if you're working with, say, a massive log file, you can be way more efficient with memory and read it piece by piece, using .readline for a single line or .readlines to get a list of all the lines.
Now let's talk about writing. And remember what we said about W mode. This is your start from scratch option. It's perfect if you're generating a brand new report or saving a completely new version of your data. But just be careful, because there is no undo button.
And here's the code for it. First, we open data.txt in write mode. And hey, if that file doesn't even exist yet, Python will just create it for us, which is pretty handy. Then we use the .write method to put the string hello Python into it. And of course, we call file.close to lock in those changes. If you ran this code, you'd find a new file on your computer with just that one line in it. But what if you don't want to erase everything? What if you want to keep a running list of events or add a new entry to a log file? That is where append mode is your best friend. It's the add to mode. Now look closely here. The absolute key detail is that N right at the beginning of the string. That's the special character for a new line, and it makes sure our new text starts fresh instead of just getting tacked onto the end of the last line. So we open in A mode, we write our new line, and we close. The old content is totally safe, and our new data is added right at the very end.
Okay, theory is one thing, but let's put all this together with a real-world task. Let's say we want to make a backup copy of a file. We can do this really easily by reading from one file and writing to another, combining everything we've just talked about.
All right, let's break this down. First, we open our source file data.txt in read mode, and we'll call that F1. Then, right after, we open our destination file copy.txt in write mode, giving us a nice blank slate, and we'll call that F2.
Now the magic happens in this super simple for loop. We just go through every single line in the first file, F1, and for each line we find, we immediately write it to the second file, F2. It's just a clean, efficient way to copy stuff.
And what is the final non-negotiable step? You got it, we have to close both files. If you forget to do this, your data might not get fully written to the disk, which could leave your new copy file empty or corrupted. This is so important that modern Python actually has a cleaner way to do this using a with statement, which handles the closing for you automatically. That's a great thing to look into next, but mastering the manual close is key to really understanding why it matters so much.
So, we've learned how to open, read, write, and close files. This might feel like a small building block, but I'm telling you, it is the key that unlocks some of the most powerful and common features in all of programming.
I mean, think about it. Every time you change a setting in an app and it's still there the next day, that's file handling. When a video game saves your progress, file handling. Login systems that remember who you are, log files that track errors, simple databases, custom reports, it all starts with these basic commands. You've just learned the foundation for all of it. So the power is officially in your hands now. You've just taken a program with amnesia and given it a memory. Start small. Try writing a program that asks for your name and saves it to a file. Then, when you run it again, have it read that file and say hello to you by name. The only question left is, what are you going to teach your program to remember first?